Hello, 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 everyone. This is April Showers of the April Showers Network. I want to thank God, who is the head of my life. I also want to thank everybody that comes to my channel and comes to my shows and shares my shows out. I want to thank you. You are very much appreciated. I also want to say, um, there's a lot going on. A lot going on. But I just laugh. I'm just laughing. So, what we got going on right now in the news, and I want to tell people this. I do my YouTube shows. Sometimes I might be dressed up. Sometimes I might be laying in bed. I'm sick. Do not be ashamed of who you are. Don't be ashamed of who you are and what you're going through. I'm sorry, I might not get dressed up every show, but I'm just a woman delivering a message. And I'm going to do it in any shape, form, or fashion that I find fit. So, what's in the news today, Sunday, November 9th? All we are seeing is Trump, 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 Trump
And we're
together.
joined now by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Mr. Bessent, thank you for joining us this morning. We've just heard about all these impacts from the government shutdown right now. Are we starting to see a permanent impact on the economy?
Sure, George, and good to be with you. And we've seen an impact on the economy from day one, but it's getting worse and worse. We had a fantastic economy under President Trump the past 2 quarters, and now there are estimates that the economic growth for this quarter could be cut by as much as half if the shutdown continues. And what your correspondent didn't talk about there, George, was there's of course the human cost, and we're going to have the busiest travel day of the year, the day after Thanksgiving, and Americans should look to 5 Democratic senators to come across the aisle to open that. But on the other side, there's also cargo is being slowed down. So, we could end up with shortages, whether it's in our supply chains, whether it's for the holidays. So, cargo and people are both being slowed down here. And that's for safety's sake, George.
President continues to post about ending the filibuster. Is that the best way to end this shutdown right now? Is that what the administration's position is?
No, George. The best way to do it. And look, you were involved in a lot of these in the '90s, and you basically called the Republicans terrorists, and you said that it is not the responsible party that keeps the government closed. And so what we need is 5 brave, moderate Democratic senators to cross the aisle, because right now it is 52-3. 52-3. 5 Democrats can cross the aisle and reopen the government. That's the best way to do it, George.
I can disagree with you about the history there, but we don't have a history lesson right now.
George, let's talk about
what's happening right now.
I got all your quotes here. George.
I'm sure you do.
And I went back, let's talk about the situation read your book. So you got one purchase on Amazon this week, and that's very much what you said.
It's a mischaracterization of history, but I do want to talk about right now is the best way to end the shutdown right now, to end the filibuster.
The best way is for 5 Democratic senators to come across the aisle. What are we on? The 13th, 14th, 15th. Mike Johnson got the reopening out of the House very quickly, And what's changed since the spring, George, is Chuck Schumer's poll numbers. He had a clean continuing resolution in the spring. And why are Democrats doing this now, George? Again, you've been involved with this. Explain what's changed. Senator Chris Murphy gave the game away this week when he said, well, now it's our advantage to keep the government closed. They have turned the American people into pawns.
The president has also come forward with a new proposal overnight saying it's time instead to do away with Obamacare, instead to have the money go directly to the people. Do you have a formal proposal to do that?
We don't have a formal proposal, but what I have noticed over time is that the Democrats give all these bills the Orwellian names: the Affordable Care Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and we end up with just the opposite. The Affordable Care Act has become unaffordable, and the Inflation Reduction Act set off the greatest inflation in 50 years.
Well, I'm a little confused because the president has been posting about that overnight and into this morning, but you're not proposing that to the Senate right now?
We're not proposing it to the Senate right now, no.
Then why is the president posting about it?
George, the president's posting about it, but again, we have got to get the government reopened before we do this. We are not going to negotiate with the Democrats until they reopen the government. It's very simple. Reopen the government, then we can have a discussion.
Let's talk about affordability and inflation. That was one of the key concerns that voters said was on their minds as they were voting this Tuesday. It appeared to be the driving force in the elections, but President Trump is still insisting that prices are way down, even though last month's report showed inflation stuck at about 3%. Are Americans worried about inflation just wrong?
Well, George, I can tell you what we're not going to do is what happened under the Biden administration, where the administration and the media gaslit everyone and said, there's a vibe session, you don't understand how good you have it. And what happened then was we had the worst inflation in 40 or 50 years, 22, 23%, but the basket of goods and services for working Americans was up more than 30%. And what we're seeing is we had to stop the increase first. Now we are starting to see prices level off, come down. Gasoline is down, interest rates are down, so mortgages are down, and I think we are making substantial progress on that. And I think over the coming months and the next year, prices are going to come down.
The president says he just had posted this morning that there's almost no inflation. The consumer price index is higher than it was in the beginning of the year. Electricity rates are rising. So are prices for coffee, beef, vegetables, televisions. And it's not just me. It's not just economists who are saying that. Your own Republican members of Congress are saying that, including Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's look.
I go to the grocery store myself. Grocery prices remain high. Energy prices are high. My electricity bills are higher here in Washington, D.C. at my apartment, and they're also higher at my house in Rome, Georgia, higher than they were a year ago. So affordability is a problem.
How do you respond to Congressman Greene?
Well, George, what I would respond to is electricity prices are a state problem, and I was very interested to see in the earlier clip where the governor-elect of New Jersey said, well, I'm going to bring down energy prices. Well, it was her predecessor, Phil Murphy, who took them up. So, look, there are things that the federal government can control. Local electricity prices are not one of them, but energy prices, gasoline prices are way down, and we are doing what we can every day. I think we are on a very good path to bringing prices down.
Let's talk about tariffs in the Supreme Court. The president is also posting about tariffs this morning. He's saying people that are against tariffs are fools. We're taking in trillions of dollars. Is that true?
We have taken, over the course of the next few years, we could take in trillions of dollars, George. But the real goal of the tariffs is to rebalance trade and make it more fair. Over time, and the president's goal is to bring back manufacturing to the U.S. For the past two, 3, 4 decades, we've seen our manufacturing sector gutted. So what would happen over time is we would take in substantial money as factories come back to the U.S., as we're seeing now. I was just down in South Carolina at a rare earth magnet plant and a Boeing plant on Friday. And that's I believe 1,500 total new jobs. Tariff income will be substantial, but then that will rebalance. The goal here, George, is to rebalance trade. So tariff income will be substantial at the beginning. It will come down, and then domestic tax revenues will climb as corporate taxes go up and all these high-paying jobs are created.
The president's main argument, though, seems to be that it's about taking in the revenue, and he also promised this morning
No,
a
George,
dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people. How is he going to pay that dividend of $2,000 a person?
It's not about taking in the revenue; it's about rebalancing. And the revenue occurs early on, and then as we rebalance and the jobs come home, it becomes domestic tax revenue.
Are you worried that the president's focus on revenue, though, which is what he's been focusing on in his public statements, is going to hurt your argument at the Supreme Court?
Not at all. It's completely consistent that the revenues come in at the beginning, then as we rebalance, which is the goal of this, bring back high-paid manufacturing jobs to the U.S., then it will then morph into domestic tax revenues. President Trump has consistently fought for the American worker, and we are seeing trillions of investments in the U.S. that would not have occurred without the tariffs. The other thing, too, is the authority that he uses is called AIBA. It is an emergency authority, and he used that emergency authority. He got the Chinese to the table to negotiate on stopping the precursors for fentanyl drugs. If fentanyl, hundreds of thousands of Americans dying every year, is not an emergency, what is? On October 8th, Chinese threatened to put export controls on rare earth materials. He was able to threaten 100% tariffs, and we were able to negotiate that away. And then finally, in terms of the general tariffs, we are doing these trade deals that would not be possible. We were at a tipping point in terms of the economy, in terms of our trade balance, and we are rebalancing successfully.
Do you have a formal proposal to give a $2,000 dividend to every American?
I haven't spoken to the president about this yet, but the $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So those are substantial deductions that are being financed in the tax bill.
Secretary, thanks for your time this morning.
Okay.
And we're joined now by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Mr. Bessent, thank you for joining us this morning. We've just heard about all these impacts from the government shutdown right now. Are we starting to see?
Okay. So again, Trump says he'll issue 2,000 tariff dividends. Trump says Americans will receive $2,000 each. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. I'm just reporting. President Trump said today, that Egypt. Hold on.
Best reviews as an unbiased team that real-world situations with reliable recommendations on just.
Okay. President Trump said Sunday that each American will receive at least $2,000 from tariff revenue collected by the administration. A dividend of $2,000 a person, not including high-income people. This ain't what I heard. Hey, young Riaz, will be paid to everybody. So, Trump has promised $2,000 tariff dividends. Hey, I bring it. You know, he's going to give us $2,000. Will be paid to everybody. This is, hey, he's saying that to tariffs. Tariffs are doing well. You know, all you have to do is Google Trump's 2K tariff. I want to know when the checks will be mailed out. Um, you know, I got a lot of people saying, ain't no checks coming. See, we got this headline. We got Trump teases 2K tariff dividends for Americans. You know. So President Trump is teasing tariff dividends of at least 2,000 for each American, not counting high income people. Hey, retirement, you know, Trump is arguing. He said the United States, he says we're taking in millions of dollars from tariffs and will soon be paying down debt of 37 trillion. He said they bringing in so much money, pre-retirement, that us elderly people on a once a month fixed income, you know, I might just be speaking for me, you know, we're gonna see a 2K check. This is according to Trump, not me. You know, so President Trump, you need to put your money where your mouth is, you know, because Trump is saying that we're taking in trillions of dollars. So he's proposing 2K dividends from tariff revenues. You know, I didn't make this up. This is what Trump said. Claiming that tariffs have made the United States the richest and most respected nation in the world. President Donald Trump on Sunday announced a plan to pay every American at least $2,000 from tariff revenues. This ain't what I heard. This is what he said. And I am reporting what all of the other, let's see, all of the outlets are saying. You know, you can't make this stuff up. I want to know when my check will be mailed. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. See, he said, all of you people, all of y'all that was talking mess with the tariffs, he's calling y'all fools. He calling the tariff opponents fools. He promises 2K dividend payments for Americans. You can't make this stuff up. Let's see what we got going on here. What this show is saying. Again, this ain't what I heard. This ain't no gossip.
What if you had a steady stream of income you could count on to be there? With a Shield
This is
Level
what
Plus annuity from Bright
the
House
president
Financial,
said.
you can turn a portion of your portfolio into
President-elect Donald
for whatever
J.
occasion calls for.
Trump.
Talk to your financial professional about Shield Level A Plus annuities from Bright House Financial. Bright House Financial, built for what's ahead.
So let's
Joining
see.
me now with reaction is U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. Jameson, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here this morning. You were in the room. Can you tell us a little about how the hearing played out?
Sure, happy to do it, and great to be with you, Maria. I spent yesterday morning in what I call the Super Bowl of trade law, the Supreme Court case on the President's Tariff Authority. I would say that the justices had mostly fair questions, tough questions. They certainly were tough on the government, but I think anyone who went and saw the second half, which a lot of people turned it off after hearing the government's case, the justices were quite difficult and quite tough on the plaintiffs here. As your correspondent there noted, the plaintiff's position it has some absurdity to it, in that they believe IEPA, the statute in question, would allow the president to completely embargo trade with a country, in other words, stop trade with a country, but not slow it through use of a tariff, and that's an absurd outcome.
Sounds absurd that the president would be able to stop trade but wouldn't be able to slow it with tariffs.
That's exactly right. I mean, the reality is, when you read that statute, the language is incredibly broad, and the justices, pretty much all of them, noted the breadth of the language. They noted that the court starts with an analysis of the plain language of the statute. That's what you look at before you start to try to put a different gloss on it or look at history or other things. You look at the plain language, and the plain language says you can regulate imports, and regulation of imports is almost always done through a tariff.
Now, this issue has been certainly one of the talking points on Wall Street, and there's one analyst at Piper Sandler, Andy LaPerriere, who talked about this a long time ago. He actually told his clients many, many months ago that he did believe that the Supreme Court would ultimately rule that the president does not have unlimited authority to impose tariffs under the IEPA or emergency lever. What are your plans, backup plans, if in fact it does go against you? Jameson, this morning we've been talking about things like Section 112, Section 232, Section 301, and 338, the Constitution. Are you looking at things like that in terms of recreating that kind of revenue?
Well, the first thing I would say, I don't know Andy, but the president has never purported to have unlimited authority in this area, and in fact, his execution of tariffs has limitations. There are certain things you can't tariff. Congress gets to have a say on all of this, so there are limitations. Are there other statutes where the president can impose tariffs? Of course there are. He used IEPA because it was absolutely the best fit for the emergency we're facing with the trade deficit and the offshoring of manufacturing. You give the flexibility that the president needs. I mean, you're facing an emergency, so you need emergency powers. I think if you look at what's gone on with China over the past several months, anyone who thinks we don't have an economic emergency with respect to our trade relations, I think they're living under a rock.
Yeah, these are all really important points that you're making. And to that point, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, your colleague who was with you in the room yesterday, said he's optimistic. The court will uphold the president's trade authority, saying that the ruling carrying massive implications, potentially impacting hundreds of billions in tariff revenue, setting new limits on presidential powers on trade. Jameson, how much money are we talking about here? Because when I spoke with the president just a couple of weeks ago, I asked the president for backup plans, and here's what he said to me. Watch this. What is your backup plan should the Supreme Court decision go against you on the tariffs and the emergency?
Well, I'll have to figure something out. I don't want to even think about it. We're doing so well to think about it. If that happened, we'd have to pay back money. So if anything would happen with that, that would mean they're allowed to use tariffs and we're not. If they took away, this is national security. If they took away tariffs, then they've taken away our national security.
So, how much money are we talking about? Are you right now expecting that if this goes against you, that the U.S. will have to pay what, $150, $200 billion in money back to corporate America? How would it work?
So this year, the president has imposed tariffs under a number of different legal authorities. He's collected, nearing $300 billion this year. A good portion of that came in under tariffs that were not the subject of yesterday's case. Section 232, other national security tariffs. So the reciprocal tariffs that were at issue yesterday, I don't know the exact number, but it's over 100 billion. But I think it's going to be less than 200 billion or thereabouts. The court itself signaled that, what do you do in the case that the tariffs are overruled? What do you do with that money? I mean, in some situations, the plaintiffs, specific plaintiffs will get a refund. As for the rest of it, I'll hand that file to the Secretary of the Treasury. He's the one who has all that money in the General Treasury, and you'll have all these importers and importing interests who are going to want that money back. And so, we'll have to figure out probably with the court what kind of a schedule might look like and what the rights are of these parties and what rights the government has to that money.
When are you expecting a decision on this, Jameson?
Well, the president asked for expedited treatment. It's incredibly important that we know sooner rather than later, his authorities here. So, I think a lot of folks are saying this may come before the end of the year. I think that's probably right. We know that on a normal schedule, the court may not release, its rulings until spring or even as late as June. My guess is they'll do it sooner than that. And whatever happens, we'll be ready for next steps.
Jameson, let me move on to China and this big deal that you were able to secure because of President Trump meeting with Xi Jinping and Secretary Bessent in your meetings with your counterparts as well. China is now easing some of its retaliatory tariffs on U.S. farm goods as part of that new trade deal. Last week, however, soybeans are still facing a 13% duty and a 10% tariff on most U.S. imports. Beijing also suspending new export controls on rare earth metals, ending investigations into chip makers. Can you talk to us a little about what was most important? I mean, for the U.S. side, we need to see those rare earth magnets flow, as well as the rest of the world, as the president has made that point many times. In response, what did the U.S. have to give up?
Well, when we went into those negotiations, we really had three specific goals and one overarching goal. The overarching goal is to have stability in our relationship with China. The President Trump and President Xi want this. They want to have a type of relationship where we can be cooperative and not confrontational. And some of the specific goals we had, one, we needed to have those flows of rare earth unimpeded, like you mentioned. It's important for our industrial base and the world industrial base because China imposed this on the world, or threatened to at least. Second, we want to resume purchases of American goods, particularly a lot of our ag products that have China as a core destination. And third, we wanted to secure Chinese cooperation on fentanyl controls, which we've secured. What did the United States do on its part? We had some investigations and things related to port fees or export controls extending to affiliates of Chinese companies. We took a pause on those measures for further review. We also reduced the tariff on China by 10 percentage points because of their fentanyl cooperation. But remember, we still have anywhere from 45 to 50% tariffs on China at this time.
At the same time, there was also a new rule in terms of expanding the entities list, which you said that you would put aside for a year. Is that right? How does that affect Chinese companies? Was that a priority for the Chinese side?
So that was something that was important to the Chinese side. That was really a procedural rule. It wasn't China specific. For 40 years, the United States in implementing export controls, right, controlling technology that can go to certain companies or countries overseas, you do it based on the specific name of a company. The United States said, well, we want to make sure that we're covering the field here. So if there's a subsidiary that's 50% or more owned by one of these listed entities, they should be covered too. We implemented that rule. It ended up covering a huge swath of companies, not just in China, but in other countries as well. And so we paused that rule. And so we'll just continue with our 40-year practice with export controls as opposed to this procedural.
Well, look, you've also been pushing, and the president has been aggressive in pushing corporate America to get the supply chains to America and make make sure that America is less reliant on the supply chains out of communist China. How long are you expecting that to take? Because at some point, is the U.S. going to be able to refine those rare earth minerals on its own?
Yes, the answer is yes. With the United States, as well as its allies and partners around the world, we are already proceeding to reshore or nearshore rare earth production. Remember, you have the mining, you have the processing and refining, and then you have the manufacturing of the magnets. And these are the steps that we're focused on. You have a lot of these types of mines and facilities in the U.S., but they've been mothballed for 10, 15, 20 years. We're trying to get those back online. And then you have new deposits all over the place, certainly in America, but also in places like Australia. And the president's been going around including a memorandum of understanding with a variety of countries with respect to critical minerals and rare earths, about working together to explore these deposits, get processing up and running, and make sure that the economics make sense so these companies can get a return on their investment and be economically feasible to produce rare earths right here in America.
And so many companies are relying on that. We spoke with the CEO of Therabody earlier, and he said, look, we need these rare earths. I mean, this is a company that's making wellness products, and you don't initially think about that, but it's not just corporate America; it's also government. Whereas we need those rare earths for the military, right?
And yes, and that's what's so frustrating about the Chinese export controls or proposals. When the United States or other countries impose export controls, it's almost always on the highest tech products that we have. I mean, we make all kinds of semiconductors. 95% of them you can ship to China, no problem. They're just a very small set that you don't ship. On the other hand, what China's doing with rare earths, they're purporting to control a very basic technology that the United States pioneered 60 years ago, something that Japan makes. I mean, these are basic inputs into the industrial processes. They're important, but they're not the highest tech thing in the world. The Chinese managed to take control of them largely because of our policy decisions and offshoring all of that production to China. So they're not controlling their highest tech stuff. They're controlling basic inputs for industry worldwide, and that's why it's so concerning that they're trying to.
Of course, it was concerning when they came out with the threat that they were going to limit the export of the rare earth minerals, not just for the United States, but the point that you've made and the president has made so many times that it's the world. Everyone needs those. Should the entity list Chinese companies have access to our capital market?
So, you can look at Fox Business if you want to learn more about the tariffs. Like I said, they're claiming that hey, Yawaba, he's saying that we've made all of this money from tariffs, and he's going, he's going to get it. I didn't say it. This is breaking news today. Um, I'm just a messenger. That's all. That's all. I'm just a messenger. You can look it up. Hey, the Bud Fouts. Great shows y'all been doing. Great shows, Wabaga. I want all of you content creators to know that you are all simply beautiful and amazing. So, you can look up Trump's 2K tariff checks. He's saying that we're gonna get he's gonna give us 2K. So, this is the latest breaking news. This ain't what I said. This is what he said. And, we'll see what happens. Yeah. So let's see.
Overpriced things I have ever seen be sold repetitively is men's razors. Going in
Overseas now, and US President Donald Trump has vowed to give most Americans a $2,000 payment as a tariff dividend. It follows doubts raised by the Supreme Court over the legality of the president's authority to impose sweeping tariffs on most nations. He made the promise on Truth Social overnight, declaring people that are against tariffs are fools. We're now the richest, most respected country in the world. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. President Trump has not clarified when people will receive those payments. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the tariff dividends could come in the form of tax cuts.
So again, like I say, I didn't say it. The April Showers Network didn't say it. This is what Donald Trump said. You know, this is what he said. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, a lot of people are saying he's lying. We're not going to get $2,000. You know, I'm just sharing what the president-elect Donald J. Trump said.
Donald Trump's funky ass is not giving Americans $2,000 back from all of this tariff revenue that he has illegally collected. I need y'all to be fucking for real. But since it's making all the blogs, they're just reprinting his words. Let me break it down to you as y'all favorite cousin economic expert. Here's the thing. Number one, he hasn't actually collected trillions of dollars like he said. That's number one. Estimates put it at $185 billion. Now, if we use the same number of payments that were
Jesus Christ. He's collected $185 billion.
Being sent out. That's over 130, 140 million people. Mind you, those were means tested, so not even every American got those. At that number of payments, that's $300 billion. So if you only have 185, how you gonna give out $300 billion? It's the math. Number two, it would have to originate in
Congress. Now, they found money for the illegal immigrants. They found money, to give to Ukraine. So, anything's possible. Anything's possible. I believe he gonna give us 2K. I really do. I believe we gonna get 2K checks. And then again, if we don't get them, he's like all the rest of the politicians, liars. But this is breaking news. This is all over. Everybody says you're crazy to think that he's gonna give every American $2K. Well, I thought they was crazy to let people come over here and live free for 2 years, get unlimited spending. I thought that was crazy. I thought it was crazy to send money to Ukraine. I thought a lot of stuff these people have done have been crazy. So he'll just be like the rest of the crazies, I guess. See, I don't. Yeah. See, I'm the type of person, I ain't talking about one, I'm going to talk about them all. So, he can join the rest of the crazies. That's all I'm gonna say. Since they want to call Trump crazy, he ain't no crazier than the rest of them. That sent millions of dollars to other countries. Those who have let people come over here from other countries. No, he promised. He said America is rich now due to tariffs, and all people, all Americans other than high paying income Americans will receive $2K. His words. He promised each American $2K. He said they didn't believe. I'm not going to argue with you. I know what the man said. I played videos. I quoted his words. We are the richest country in the world due to his tariffs. And each American will be receiving 2K. He has promised American people, those that don't get high incomes, he has promised them 2K. 2K. So, yeah. So, like I say, they found money for everybody else. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Queen Keish. Mm. So, y'all want to come in here? Google Trump 2K. Mm. According to ABC News. Yeah, that's all it is. Trump says he'll issue 2,000 tariff dividends to all except high income people. You're right, Queen Keish. Another stimulus check because stuff is off the chain right now. You know. Here's another one. Yahoo News. Trump says the tariff dividend of at least 2,000 will be paid to most Americans. I'm hearing this from every every local media. Don't come in here. Yeah. You agree? Okay. So, yeah. So anyway, like I said, hey, Yawaba, thank you. I got clothes everywhere. Um, Monotony of the West. So I guess Yahoo News, all of these sources are fake. Who do you listen to? Go listen to your mama. Don't listen to me. You don't have to. You don't have to come to my channel. Oh yeah, yeah. You don't have to come to my channel. You don't have to come to my channel. You don't have to come to anything. You don't have to come to my shows. You don't have to come in here, and I don't have to prove anything to you. I don't have to prove nothing to you. I don't have to prove to you where I get my news from, where I get my information from. I don't have to prove anything to you. Go ask your mammy. Go ask your pappy. You don't have to come to my shows. I don't get my hopes up high. I'm not getting my hopes up high because I depend on God. I I I rather West. Go go ask your mammy and your pappy about their real sources in real time. You not telling me nothing. I don't get my hopes up high. I'm just reporting the news because I believe in God. and anarchy. These sources are Yahoo News, ABC News. Bitch, now get the fuck out of my show. Go ask your mammy and pappy. Don't come over here questioning what I report on. Again, in all of the news sources, all of the news sources, they are talking. Trump has said Americans will receive 2K. Now, if they will receive it, I don't know. It would be nice. It will be like another stimulus check. It would be nice. Again, I'm just reporting the news. What Trump said, not what I said, what he said. So if you got a problem with that, go get mad at Trump. Don't get mad at me. I'm just a person delivering the news. So again, you know, that's what Trump said he's gonna do. You know, not me. I didn't say anything. He said they made so much money. So much money. So much money. Hmm? Oh yeah, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. I was frozen. Okay. So like I said, this is all breaking news. And I'm just reporting it. ABC News, Trump says he'll issue 2,000 care dividends. Because, you know, hey, we rich. We rich. We rich. President Trump on Sunday claimed that a dividend of at least 2,000 a person will be paid to all Americans except for high-income people, saying the country is now wealthy as a result of his tariff policies. People that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation. I don't know where he got that from. And a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever, the president wrote. This is what the president wrote. A dividend of at least 2,000 a person, not including high income people, will be paid to everyone. So, Trump called all of those, you know, all y'all opponents to the tariffs, he called y'all fools. Trump claimed a dividend of at least 2,000 a person will be paid to everyone. I'm just waiting to see. You wobble like you say, you know, hey, we can just wait and see. Yeah, something's got to give. To me, I don't agree. I believe we in inflation. Food is high. Every time I go to Family Dollar, the prices are high. You know, everything is high. Everything is high. So, if he sends out 2K, 2K checks to the American people, that would be great. I didn't say it. He said it. And again, I depend on God. I'm not going to starve. I'm going to keep a roof over my head. If I had to be broke, you know. Yeah. With everything going up, people deserve it. Especially people that have paid taxes. Mm, mm. Yeah, we deserve it. We deserve it just for the hell that we've been through. We deserve it for seeing immigrants come over here, get everything, and American people not get anything. I'm looking at illegals fighting the police now because y'all people done gave them the power to think they not supposed to go back. They running up in schools, using children as human shields. You got mayors false reporting stories, talking about ICE then went into a school arresting a teacher, and it was an illegal immigrant that was wanted for criminal charges, and they ran into a school and used children as a human shield. It's a pattern. And you got the stupid mayor of Chicago and some of the aldermen lying to the American people. But it has come out. Mm. Hell, at this point, I need to go and cross the border so I can get free housing for 2 years, unlimited food. And you people that have paid taxes are starving and they're not giving food stamps out to people. But if you are illegal and you undocumented, we I only get $24 a month, right? I have to show all of this paperwork. But baby, let me tell you something. All I got to do is say I'm illegal. I don't have to show any documentation. And I get everything I want. Mm, mm, mm. So now NBC News, this is what they're saying. The ABC News said, Trump said, now NBC News says, Trump floats giving Americans cash for health care and care dividends. No, it's only 2K. 2K. Even though, we never got reparations, we should be getting a check for 250K, but that's a whole nother story. But I don't blame that on Trump for not getting reparations. I blame everybody after Lincoln was assassinated. They snatched up that field order 15 and nobody ever took them to court to make sure that mule and up to 40 acres was given to people. So we also have, you know, they're changing the language now. Let's see. ABC News said Trump says he'll issue 2,000 tariff dividends. And then NBC News says Trump float giving American cash. So don't come up in here when I'm reporting on information that the news gives. You go call NBC, ABC, Fortune. Don't come up in my chat challenging me on what I'm reporting from what's supposed to be reliable news sources, ABC, NBC. Yeah, that should happen. That should happen, you wobber. But it won't. But it won't. So, whenever I find out some information, I'll just bring it to you. Let me tell you. Oh, okay. Let me tell you, with the screen, with the economy the way it is, I have been cooking more. So, where there's a will, there is a way. And as long as I can breathe, as long as I can breathe, I'm never gonna starve. And your wobber, mm, I am back. I am back. I am back. I want to make this clear. First of all, I am on YouTube for me. I didn't come on YouTube to do my podcast to prove anything to anybody in this world. I want to make that clear. I come on here, I might not, I've been sick. I come on here to encourage people through the midst of it all that you are still important. You don't have to be a gatekeeper, Gail King or Oprah Winfrey to report on news. We do not have hairstylists, makeup artists to get dressed up every day. I didn't come on here for that. I come up on YouTube to help me with pain issues, my mental health, and to give you stories to the best of my ability. If you don't think that I'm doing that, you don't have to come in my show. You can go anywhere else on YouTube that you want to go to. Belittling or talking about me is not going to stop me from being the beautiful star that my parents always told me I was. See, I had great parents, Charlie and Dorita April. I had a father that told me I was a star from the day I was born. So I don't need validation from anybody on YouTube. I hope I make that clear. So, everybody, you enjoy your day. And again, like I say, uh, you know, do what you do. No weapon formed against this channel will prosper. And any attacks that come against me, baby, let me tell you, you better be careful messing with some of us chosen, anointed people. We might not be rich and we might not be famous, but we have a light that's shining. And baby, ain't nobody gonna stop my light from shining. Peace be still to the next show, to the next late breaking show news that comes up. But we gonna see. We're gonna see. I just gave you, you know, information from different headlines. ABC News, Yahoo News, The Hill, NBC. Um, and so it is what it is. We will see. But 1 minute Trump said, according to ABC News, now it's Trump floats the bill. So we'll wait to see if we get 2K checks. Y'all have a great day, a great night. This is April Showers. I'm out. Peace.